Tennessee is not a state that's often mentioned on this channel, so it's about time it gets its own video. Tennessee, along with Louisiana, is known for music, and a lot of types of it. Swing, jazz, blues, and country. It's also known for the Great Smoky Mountains. Tennessee in the 20th century was a booming transit hub, especially in cities like Nashville and Memphis. Several famous luxury streamliners made several stops throughout the state. Famous examples include the L&N's Pan American and Southwind, and Mopac's Texas Eagle. The L&N linked Memphis and Nashville while continuing on its mainline, but did you know that there was another little-known streamliner that was only meant to serve the two cities? Well, let me tell you the story of the city of Memphis, Nashville's native streamlined train. In the jazzy year of 1940, the railroads across America were looking prettier than ever, despite the fact that American economy was still in literal shambles, and the fact that they were now preparing to enter World War II. Streamliners roamed the rails, and railroads loved to flash off their new paint schemes and advertisements everywhere. Small railroads had less of an image, but they still made their presence known, as is the case for Tennessee's small railroad, the Nashville, Chattanooga, and St. Louis. During the Great Depression, the NC and STL was in a massive state of disorder, but the railroad's president still looked to expand and increase service across their system. Plans included upgrading its property by adding second tracks where possible, purchasing new equipment, rebuilding bridges, and adding the latest signaling systems. The late 30s saw the economy slowly sputtering itself back to life like an old car that's been left in the shed for 20 years. But once the Second World War came around, traffic along the Chattanooga absolutely boomed, and left the road with not a single worry about the Depression. When World War II ended, the railroad's president, W.S. Hackworth, looked to upgrade its passenger fleet. However, it was decided to rebuild dated heavyweight equipment instead of purchasing new cars directly from builders like the Budd Company or Pullman Standard, according to Adam Burns of American Rails. Streamlined steam locomotives were still abundant on certain railroads across America, however they were quickly being phased out and replaced by diesel power on most jobs. Hackworth wanted to build a streamliner that's up to date with modern equipment and a sleek paint job, but he didn't want a diesel to run it, so in late 1945, a steam locomotive was rebuilt completely from scratch to run this new planned service. It was a 462 K2D class Pacific steam locomotive given the number 535. 535 was an absolutely gorgeous locomotive, with clean streamlined shrouding and a paint job that easily flowed well with the passenger cars it pulled. Those passenger cars in question were built in the second half of 1945 at the railroad's in West Nashville shops, stripping old Pullman coach cars and rebuilding them from the ground up. Not only were they streamlined, but they also offered the latest in equipment for the time, including roller bearings and 3-axle trucks. This new service was dubbed the City of Memphis, being inaugurated in May of 1947 with much fanfare from Tennesseans, as many of them favored the Dixie Line over the others. Locomotive number 535, nicknamed Mary, or Marie, however you say it, powered the city of Memphis until 1949 when it had a catastrophic accident. 535 blew its main driver rod, and as a result, it was retired from service and it was replaced by a bigger, and frankly slightly less appealing, 484 Northern type steam locomotive. Going back to the train cars, the train's consist was a total of 6. It included a baggage railway post office or RPO car, 2 reclining seat coaches, a coach dinette lounge, a diner tavern lounge, and a coach lounge observation car bringing up the rear. It was a train of utmost elegance to Tennesseans, and it's clear to see why. It looked absolutely stunning. The route of the city of Memphis was pretty straightforward. It went between Nashville and Memphis with 11 stops total, termini included. Starting at Nashville's Union Station, it served the following towns in order: Dixon, Waverly, Camden, Brewston, Lexington, Jackson, Whiteville, Somerville, and Lenox, until finally arriving at Memphis' stunning Union Station. The total route length came out to about 237 miles, with a ride time of 5 hours flat. Because of the quick trip time, the railroad was able to fit in a single daily round trip of the service, first going northbound to Nashville in the morning and south to Memphis in the early afternoon. The train was given numbers 5 and 6, averaging a speed of roughly 47.5 miles an hour. Not too bad. By the 1950s, the usual story goes around with steam locomotives being phased out. As said earlier, 1949 saw a power replacement for the Memphis, as 535 suffered from a main drive rod being blown. A 484 Northern type was used as a short-lived replacement until the Dixie Line started buying new EMD GP7s by 1950. The new GP7s were very versatile and were put on passenger duties. Unfortunately, the Memphis lost most of its luxury cars, and by 1953 it was an all-coach train. By 56, the Memphis lost its luxury name and was only just called Train 5 or 6. The consist by now was just the RPO baggage car and 2 or 3 coaches being pulled by an EMD GP7, which ultimately replaced steam power by the early 50s. On some occasions, the observation car would still be seen on the rear of the train. In 1957, the Nashville, Chattanooga, and St. Louis Railroad was taken over and absorbed by its parent railroad, the Louisville and Nashville, which caused the train's 2 remaining coaches to be repainted into the L&N livery. Interestingly though, the train still held on for a little longer. With competition rising from cars and airliners, the Dixie Line finally decided to close off what was formerly their budget streamliner. The city of Memphis, or by this time Trains 5 and 6, made their last trip as an overnight service sometime in 1958. With the city of Memphis gone, the L&N would continue to run their passenger services until 1971, with the last ones being discontinued a day before Amtrak's inauguration. But don't worry, because the city of Memphis's image isn't nearly gone at all, as it had a huge impact on Tennessee. Sadly, the steam locomotives responsible for pulling the Memphis were all scrapped, save for one specific Northern, number 576. If anybody knows if 576 actually pulled the Memphis train, could you let me know in the comments? Thanks. 535 was scrapped long ago. It didn't even last past 1950, going back yet again to when its main drive rod was blown. It was retired and scrapped in 1949, the year the accident happened. The GP7s have likely been sold, scrapped, preserved, or still operational, as I have no idea where they are now. The consist, however, was almost completely saved. According to the Nashville, Chattanooga, and St. Louis Railroad Historical Society, 5 out of the 6 cars a part of the train were saved and now are on display at the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum. As far as I know, only one of the Dixie Line's original GP7s are still in action today. Number 710 is on excursion duties at the museum, pulling freight and passenger excursions across the museum grounds. Today, Memphis is the only station along the old Dixie that is still served with revenue passenger service. Amtrak's City of New Orleans service, running daily between Chicago and New Orleans, is the only train to serve Memphis. The last train to serve Nashville was Amtrak's old Floridian, not to be confused with the revived one. That train was discontinued in 1979. The city of Memphis was the Dixie Line's attempt at a budget streamliner, and it's safe to say it was very successful for only being around for 11 years. It had a vast impact on Tennessee, and it still does today, in a way. You can still see the remnants of the train at the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum. This was the story of the Dixie Line's City of Memphis, Nashville's native streamliner. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I also hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.